Great. So thanks, Ellery. Afternoon, everyone. So I'm Rohan, and my company is Raw Corporation. A little bit of back history about myself. I currently run a virtual assistance company, and the idea behind this company has stemmed really from an automotive background, where I spent many years dealing with processes for automotive manufacturers, sales processes and operations and compliance processes. And years ago, towards the end of 2019, I decided to leave the corporate space after 20 years of serving the automotive because I really wanted to go and be an entrepreneur, go and sail my own ship and go make my own coin without all the constraints of being tied down with the automotive sector. So I went into virtual assistant. It was also the period of a mass lockdown. So I guess there was beautiful challenges with finding super niches and marketplaces with the services that we offered. And I was providing general admin services, and these were literally a whole plethora of different services. And they were things like sending emails, chasing invoices, sending canned responses for customer service representatives, and all the usual mundane admin tasks that we generally don't like to do in a business. They were the things that I would pick up and deliver to my company. But as time went by, I guess I thought to myself, look, I don't get too excited about this. This wasn't the real me delivering these services. And what I found is that I really enjoyed helping or picking up some of the clients who were starting their businesses and growing their businesses. And this is where I found this is where I wanted to be. I wanted to start working with these companies that are looking to scale their business. They were startup businesses, but they were having the usual challenges like many startup businesses where they're spinning far too many plates. Consider it like a leaky boat syndrome. We've got the captain in his ship, it's full of holes and it's sinking, and the captain's just literally trying to bucket in spade, trying to release all the water from his ship. And I thought, you know what, this is a great concept here where I can reframe or rebrand my digital virtual assistant services and help these small entrepreneurial companies who really wanted to scale their business, but providing that support in the digital landscape. So really for me, this brand new concept and certainly been here for quite a few of the big fixes now. I've understood, look, there's a niche here, and this is something that I'm really looking to explore to help grow my own business with clients naturally. And I'm
It's
coming
not
to the big
working.
fix really for support to myself is a good concept or not. People in the digital landscape that can arguably can be converted into cash payments, silver payments, and I'm looking to sort of leverage the two opportunities that I can support and grow people's businesses using our digital platform and digital services when it comes to tools such as automated CRMs and workflows within a CRM system. So really for me, my question is not so much of where my direction is going, but more to get your ideas and your thoughts as to is this model right? Is it a good model? And do you see a niche or do you see a requirement as business owners yourselves that there is a need to have this help and support, even if it's 2 hours a week, 1 hour a week, whatever it may be, to help support business owners doing all the mundane tasks. We all know, perfect example, we all know, look, we get clients and we spend all this time nurturing to find our clients. We win a deal and then we're taken away doing all the admin, selling the deal that we concentrated on delivering the work, but then we're forgetting about all the follow-ups for all the other clients or revisiting our existing clients to keep them on the loop and to keep growing the opportunities through our existing clients. And this is really my sort of, this is where I believe I come in, and this is what I do best, and this is what I think most business would need to outsource those smaller little tasks to myself. So my question is it a great concept? Do you feel that model works for yourselves? And is this something I'm going down the right track with?
Thank you very much. Right, I'm just going to clarify that question. As far as I understand the question, it's about because you've moved away, have you not, from standard VA stuff, you know, fill in the spreadsheet for me, do this, do that, whatever. You're now into the niche that you sort of highlighted is all about digital services. It's almost like when we spoke, it's almost like follow-up, client nurturing, making sure that they're communicated with, making sure that they actually know of new offers that come along. So that's just, I just wanted to get clarity, you know, on that. Now,
Yes.
is that okay? Great. So straight off the mark there, Tim's got his hand up.
Love it.
Will you still be offering human conversation if needed? Because not every customer wants to do everything via, your customers want to do everything digitally.
It's a great question, and it was one I'm still conscious about. The human touch, the human voice element will probably not be a physical service. So I'm doing telephony outreach any longer, because there's twofold, and it's a selfish business decision that part of the role as a VA is when you're blocking these elements of timeout, whether or not it's inbound or outbound call activity. It's not a business. It's not part of that VA service that I enjoy. It's one I can do. It's fine.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you there. I'm not sure that's what Tim was asking. Can I just clarify the question, Tim? Are you, when you say, you know, will you still be offering some kind of human conversation? I guess that question encapsulates, will there still be a possibility for you to contact Rohan and speak to him? Is that right? Or
no, I was asking whether it would also involve potentially some customer voice contact. Across, you know, end customer, not his customers. So his customers.
So well, I'll answer both of them. So yes, Ellery, the business to business element and contact with clients, absolutely, that will never disappear. I think that's a very important piece of any relationship in any business. In terms of outsourcing and moving pieces of routing a telephony call to myself is probably one I would steer clear of. On twofolds, Tim, probably in terms of the pricing point, I wouldn't necessarily be as competitive as most now would use a third party or offshore call center, which that's a whole different kettle of fish about the arguments of offshore and onshore telephony contact basis. So I hope that answers your question.
Tim, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, thanks. And what's the price point, or have you not worked that out yet?
So in terms of conventional virtual assistant is £35.
No, I meant for this service.
Oh, for the digital VA, it would fall in the same soup. So I believe it's the same hourly rate at £35 an hour. And then that would be coupled with the option of not 100%, this is just out there, I'm looking for your thoughts, but the thought of a 50-50 silver mix, a 70-30 silver and cash mix that I need to iron out in terms of best approach and feedback from you guys naturally as well.
Tim, has that answered your question? Yes, great. Okay, now we've got Georgia.
Hi there, Rowan. I think you've sort of answered part of the question, but let's see, I've got 3 little ones for you here. So what is it that people ask from you the most to do for them?
So the most that I get asked would be something with a spreadsheet related. So formulating a spreadsheet, updating data into a CRM are probably the two biggest pieces I get asked
Is that
about.
regular work? You keep doing that, or they learn it from you?
Yes, this is one of the challenge. I think it's a nice thing, but not necessarily for a residual income, and this is probably why I'm remorphing and having to rethink about the model. So the perfect answer is that I like to give I'm not just a taskmaster. It's look, we're doing a process. I show the process. They are probably educated within that process that look, uploading a spreadsheet isn't really rocket science. I'd love to outsource that all day long. But once they understand a process and they've learned how simple it is, then eventually that project that's been outsourced soon comes to an end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So, well, I was going to ask you about prices. I always ask about money. So what's your minimum hourly package? Do you do like 2 hours a month, 4 hours a month, 6 hours? Do you have a minimum package or several packages?
Yeah, we do a pay-as-you-go, an hour at a time, and that's £35. Then I jump straight to the next package, which is a 10-hourly package, and that becomes £300. There's a 10% rollover from one to the other within that package. I do offer a 20, but I actually bought most out of a 20-hour package. Purely basic, it's the financial element of flipping what I'm charging for 20 hours versus actually the role you may need might be the opportunity for a genuine part-time person at that point. And then the third reason behind that is actually by taking on so many hours, I limit myself for actual different growth in different directions because I've tied all my eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite task then? What puts the fire in your, what's the phrase? What gets you going? What's your passion?
I use a kid in a candy shop, I think is the term I like to use. And so when a client comes to me and says we have we're working with XYZ CRM system and it's very messy, I need the data cleansing, I need people tagging, I need to separate people into all their categories within that CRM. That's me in a candy shop having to go into their CRM
and the last one is, do you have a team or is it just you at the moment?
So it's predominantly myself. I have a team that is not an employed team, but a secondary outsource. So I only use the outsource if it's those genuine smaller tasks that I don't enjoy. So let's take data entry, data cleansing. It's okay, but not my favorite. Then we have sub agreements with with other virtual assistants who take that work.
So you outsource. So the one last little thing then is, so if you have a client who's demanding and says, I need you today, or you've got to get it done by the end of the week, how do you react to those sort of emergency panic calls that a lot of coaches have because they don't know how to do something?
Yeah, I learned that one the hard way, I guess. It's one that doesn't come up too often, but I guess I limited this within my service agreement that if there is anything out of hours, so I will operate within these normal hours, and I double the rate for anything out of hours and over the weekend. And I hope that's the leverage to say, don't pester me at 4:50 on a Friday afternoon that something needs to be done in the next 10 minutes.
Very smart.
I'll do it, but there's an associated charge.
Thanks, Rohan.
Thank you very much. Andrew.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
Hi, Andrew.
A couple of things here. I see in your background, if you move to your right, it says My DigiVA CRM app. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, so I am a partner of several different CRM systems. So I'm a HubSpot partner, Zoho partner, a high level partner. As far as high level goes, I am a white label agency owner. So I have which is called the MyDigi VA.
Right. I wondered if that was the one you're using there, because a little bit of what you're doing is similar to what I help people with, but in a slightly different way. So I mean, it's interesting here. You're taking things. When you were talking about taking a spreadsheet and putting it into a CRM, can you just expand on what you were meaning, what your process was for that?
Yeah, so any client list before it goes into a CRM should be not only cleansed and make sure it's vetted for correct details and punctuation, but the most important thing I educate on into putting before we go into a CRM are customer tags that everyone should have an associated tag, an industry, a service, a keyword associated to them, and that's what I sort of not specialize. That's the wrong word. But that's what
No,
hone in
I get that,
on.
because I was trying to see, because I was thinking, well, hang on a second, because a fair bit of that could be automated, but I see what it's cleaning the data before it actually goes into
Correct,
the CRM.
correct, yeah.
Yeah. And just coming back actually to what we were talking about a second ago with the pricing, you say that you have an out of hours rate, but do you have a proverbial hitting the fan rate, just like Georgia was saying?
Yes, so I wouldn't call it the proverbial, but yes, look, there are obvious elements that are highly technical. I guess this is the route we're going, the route we're talking about. That if there is something of high technicality, then it doesn't necessarily become price per hour point. It actually becomes a project point.
Right. Well, no, what I'm thinking more along the lines of is, for example, you have a burst pipe in your house and your kitchen is quite quickly, the water level is rising. What you're going to do, pay the premium for the expert plumber to come out and fix it immediately, or you're going to pay a lower rate for them to come out a week on Wednesday and maybe fix it. Then
Yes.
you're going to pay the premium rate
Of
for
course,
somebody to come and fix it now. So just wondering if somebody needs you and needs you now, you say, yeah, I can help you. I can bump you up onto the. I know we're kind of getting into solution land, but this is what I was wondering, if you have that premium rate bump you up to the head of the queue.
It's a great point. So the short answer is no, I don't. Other than how I mentioned earlier, that look, if it is a current client and it is a deadline is looming, then I refer only to an out of office sort of rate, but not a premium service rate, which is a very good point, Andrew. Thank you.
That's all right. Right.
We're
I'm done.
we're going straight into solutions. I've got a question for Tim. Ask his question if that's okay. Welcome, Oliver. I'm not clear, right? And I want us to be really clear about this. I'm not hearing, and I'm going straight into solutions, so forgive me. But I would like there to be more clarity around the benefits that you provide to people, because people don't know what they don't know. And I think we need to start, we're going to break out and really start to, you're a bit like talking to a lawyer, right? Lawyers take a lot, I, as a lawyer, take things for granted, and I'm constantly surprised that people will pay me for doing what I consider to be so freaking obvious. Like, surely they can do that themselves. But I've had to learn this the hard way. And the best example I can give to you is listening to you talk. Now, I have I'm phobic about tech, right? It's not that it's not that I accept it's easier than I think it is, but there's a phobia moment happening there. I like my papers. I like my books. I'm comfortable with 28 legal books in front of me because I know my way around them, right? That might sound insane to some people, but that's just me. Now, I keep saying to this, that everybody that comes along to do a big fix, anything digital, they take a lot of stuff for granted. I could not even do my own Google Your Business. I wouldn't even know where to start, how to do. I just wouldn't know. I won't know which button to press. I can tell you what I want to achieve, but I think there's there needs to. Well, I'm going to say, but my point is with this digital stuff, I can understand that you want to move from please fill in the spreadsheet for me into the more digital type of thing. And when we spoke, we were talking about leveraging your CRM. Now, most people, in your experience, probably have no idea that a digital VA can even start to leverage your CRM for you. They wouldn't even understand what the word leveraging means. So I'm wondering, because having spoken to you, this is probably something where you've suddenly worked out, hey, I've done loads of processes in my corporate life. I've done this. I know what they can do. So I want you to start thinking maybe a bit more of actually leveraging that CRM system, showing people how to do that, and therefore selling your services in on the back end of that. And I've gone straight into a solution. I'm not on my game today. So sorry, I'm going to defer to Tim, who's going to save me from my own self.
Just checking, what you want to be shifting to slowly but surely is also a recurring income model, so that you can basically collect money and do other things.
Yes,
Okay.
I had a small point that I was going to bring that in. I think it was Georgia who mentioned that earlier. It's about what happens, and I give away the solution. Not give away, it sounds horrible, but once you've educated, they don't need me, and that's a crucial. It's a big pitfall in my world when it comes to trying to sort out the finances. It's residual income, retainer business is the way forward.
Thank you.
Okay, last question to us before we break out to these breakout rooms. Us?
Hey, Rohan.
Hi.
I don't think I fully understand what you're trying to. Sorry, my dog got his pig. I don't think I fully understand what you're trying to transition into from the virtual assistant stuff. Could you provide examples of what service or help it is that you want to be doing for your clients?
It's a great question, and I didn't want to start reading off X, Y, and Z surface, but moving away from like Tim says, I used to do a lot of phone picking up or data entry, manipulating data into spreadsheets. What this transition is about is the realism of using more digital services that are already doing that technology. So an example was it used to be great to outsource to an admin staff to go and complete spreadsheets and upload them into a cloud to do whatever you needed to do. Those services are already there in one way, shape, or form. The AI world is so big right now. Everything can plug into into a SaaS product, a software product that you can just pick up off the shelf and go. So my transition is about moving into those physical SaaS products that are actually already helping deliver what a virtual assistant was manually doing.
So would you still be called a virtual assistant, or would you have a different name?
Yes, so it would still be a virtual assistant, rightfully, wrongfully. I think my branding right now, it might be is my latter importance. I've sort of formulated a my Digi VA in terms of okay. I don't want to just be a VA. I want to be a digital VA, and maybe that's where I see some of the transition that will happen.
That's really good because that speaks straight into solutions. That's really good. Thank you. Those brilliant questions. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to ask actually, but I couldn't quite formulate it like you did because I'm an idiot today. So let's break into breakout rooms. Right now, the object of the exercise is right. Let me be clear about this. Right now, I understand. So the VA used to do X or still does do X, Y, and Z, right? He doesn't want to be filling his time filling in spreadsheets. He wants to use his knowledge and expertise. Note, use his knowledge and expertise, not your knowledge and expertise, into how to digitize and help you digitize your business, right? This is his secret sauce. This is what he can do. Now, we can all go off and do it ourselves if we've got hundreds of hours to spare. So that's how I see it. So it's a question of here now to come up with what should the strapline be? What should the benefit sector look like? How can you quickly, because you've got 3 seconds only to connect with somebody's brain to take that call further. Why and what can Rohan do that which is going to make the client's life easier? I think that's the thing, because I have no interest in getting involved, Rohan, in how you do it. Who cares? What I need to know is what are you going to do and how much is it going to cost me and how quickly and what's the likely outcome. I think that's probably, you know, a fair point. So can we have a think about those things, and anything that people think is unclear, please state it. Get your team member or whoever you vote to be the note taker for your team and therefore the spokesperson back on behalf of the group. Get them to put it down, because this is really important, because the whole purpose of this is to niche this right down so that when we come to writing the report, we have a whole slurry of action items that Rohan needs to make to change this, if indeed he needs to change anything. Does that make sense? So I am going to set up the breakout rooms. I'm just going to put you into 3 breakout rooms. So room number 1 is Oliver, Peter, and Yuanda.
Oh, we were the lucky ones. Okay. So I was volunteered again.
Were you?
So it's really exciting to do this with Rohan now, because he has an interesting opportunity on his hands. While he loves data entry and serving businesses that have sales teams, especially operating CRM system, the opportunity for him is actually in number 1, doing the data entry work, which no one wants to do. Every salesperson, including sales professionals, they hate data entry. Yeah, to go after our calls, go to CRM and write all of these things to summarize in our calls, but it's necessary. So someone has to do it. So this is one thing. The other thing, what sales teams or sales divisions hate is managers going through the records in the CRM and actually looking through this. So an opportunity for Rohan is in becoming like the guardian of the sales process and an analyst at the same time, to actually not only take this task, this unwanted task from salespeople of data entry into the CRM, also he can take another unwanted task from sales management, going through all of the data once he's already looking into this, already doing data entry, and see, okay, did this salesperson actually follow the sales process? Did he or she ask all of the questions which were necessary to ask? Did this person get all of the information necessary? If not, all right, this person has to be flagged for more training or more practice. Also, it's also reporting back to the management about the quality of relationship these salespeople are establishing with a client, and just highlight, which is, okay, this is going fine. This person is doing what the salesperson is doing, what he or she is supposed to be doing, but At this pace, it may take 5 to 7 years to yield any results. So it's about making sure that there is extra effort put into it, and the time to result is being compressed. So again, being the analyst, being the person providing extra value for one and only reason, and this is, if Rohan would focus only on data entry by being really enthusiastic about this and loving this kind of a work, there's very few people like this out there. So the moment he maximizes his capacity, he can't grow any further. So it's not scalable. And at the same time, it's necessary to set up like a process so you can actually teach other people, other VAs, all right, when you're going to be doing this kind of a work, these are the most important things. This is what you really have to focus on. These are the most valuable pieces of data. So others can do your work when you are not there. And eventually you would give up the data entry to someone else, to outsource it, and you will focus on the analysis. Yeah, and this can be coupled with AI, etc. So you can develop some sort of a model which allows you to quickly go through large amounts of data, analyze it based on certain factors, which simply would save a lot of your time. Does it make sense?
No, I love it, Peter. Love it. Yeah,
Love it. Love it. Loving the data entry. That's a really interesting insight on this. I really like that, because the one thing, when we spoke to you, the one thing that I can tell you that people, when they start out, the most important people they need in their business is probably somebody like you. They don't know what they don't know, because they do not do that data entry. What they do, they're fixated on getting sales in, and they completely forget the back end, which is really, it is something that they really need, from day one. I think that's very, very important. So thank you very much, Peter, for highlighting.
One more thing on top of this. There should be like, once a business has a sales process set up, there has to be like a checklist of information they need to extract from the client. And when you are doing the data entry, it's either through salespeople reporting to you, okay, this is the summary of a call, or you may get just a recording of a call. What do you need to do? Number one, having a tool which quickly enables you to transcribe this call into text, and then just extract the key information to it from it and add it into the system. If anything is missing from the checklist, you need to go back to the salesperson and say, hey, did you ask about this? If not, you need to go back to the customer and you need to find out that thing. Otherwise, you can't move further down in the sales process.
No,
so again, the quality control on the sales side.
I love it. Thanks, Pete.
Brilliant.
Pleasure.
Okay. Room 2, Andrew's Fireflies note taker that doesn't say anything. Jill, Rohan, you can't say anything, and Tim. That was a small group, because one of you in that group is, of course, Andrew's note taker, because Andrew appears in a different group. So Jill and Tim, being the only two people that can talk.
And it's me that mostly talked.
Well, you could both talk. You could both. That's okay. It's all right.
Let Tim do the talking, please.
Tim, do the talking, right?
So the main things we're suggesting he focuses on is outcome based. Don't talk about data entry. Don't talk about things, process. Actually talk about the fact that we can make your life much easier by taking away. So we've got a sales and marketing module. If you want to get a load of quotes, let's say you're plumbers, then we will put you into Google My Business. We can handle things like your marketing automation or your digital marketing and that sort of side of it. And then we can handle the inbound responses from that and get back out with a quote in a timely fashion. We then take quotes through to booking, so you end up with your diary full on doing exactly what you want and nothing but that. So we're doing the back end, then potentially invoicing and the collecting payments, and then potentially the project management from it. So the next thing we were talking about was niching it so that it makes it much easier to put it into terms that people understand. So if you have got plumbers or electricians or something like that, where they love to be doing the actual work, hate doing the quoting, the booking, the writing to people, because a lot of them were not hugely academically gifted and quite often have got learning difficulties like dyslexia, dyspraxia, we will make your quotes look great, so therefore you will end up winning the jobs. We will make sure that as an inquiry comes in from Checkatrade, we will respond within less than a minute, which means you are 400 times more likely, or 400% more likely to convert. And we'll follow through all of that. We'll make sure that your invoices are sent out promptly and that you are getting the money in, so you're not fighting 6 months later to get paid. We will ask for referrals automatically. And all of this stuff is done as kind of a module of what we'll do for you without explaining, because most of this is just done as automations within the CRM. So he can set it up as modules and just turn them on or off according to the client. And that way he's merrily gathering in 50, 100 pounds a month for his CRM doing stuff. Now, if he shows them how to do it, they'll quickly go, I'd rather CRM and do it myself, thanks. If he says this is a service, hell, what plumber wouldn't want to get rid of all of their background admin and quoting and everything else and spend 3 times more time actually doing paid for work for, 100 quid a month, 200 quid a month? And that's going to apply to loads of other niches like designers and lawyers and so on.
Brilliant.
And the only other thing I'd throw in is that once you do work with niches, probably worth talking to Ian Genius, so you can actually make it really, really simple as a proposition.
Perfect. No, great. Really good. And actually through these answers, we're getting, I think, hopefully people like us and I are getting much more idea of what you're actually doing, because it's not that we're too thick to understand this stuff, because when you're overwhelmed very often, you're starting off, you just do try and do everything yourself. And part of this battle is as Tim has said, bring it down to the language of the person that you're serving. Ditch any tech reference because it's going to confuse. Use it when you need to use it. So if you're talking to the people that Peter was talking about, the sales teams and that sort of thing, they're going to want to hear that. But somebody like you, Andrew, isn't going to want to hear that, or us isn't going to, or I'm not going to. I'm not going to understand it. I want to hear what things you're going to take away from me. Just like Peter and Tim have both suggested. So room 3, now that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Tim. That's fantastic. So room 3, we had Georgia, us, Raj, and Tony.
Who's got the floor?
Yes, I've got the floor. So I'm afraid we have maybe more questions than actually non-questions, but hopefully these questions help you then get to the point of deciding if your transition idea is right or not. So as a group, we are quite clear on the idea that there's always going to be businesses that need a VA. But what is the difference between being a VA and then the digi stuff that you're offering? So as a client, how do they know what's going to be best for them? We don't quite understand if you're solving new problems, more important problems. So the messaging behind what problems are being solved needs to be really, really clear. And you mentioned you want to step away from VA because you've kind of had enough, but you want to go digi. That still sounds quite vague. So I wonder if there's been enough, if you've given it enough thought of what it is that you actually want. Like what you really want your days to look like and what you really want to be doing, how helping the clients and things like that. we did get kind of hung up on the whole, well, isn't everything digital these days anyway? Even as a virtual assistant, aren't you doing digital stuff? So then that sort of propels the thought of the story, the messaging that this new brand is offering has to be so damn strong that people aren't thinking these questions. It's kind of quite abstract and not quite tangible. Virtual assistant is virtual, it's digital VA. Like I wonder if it would be quite helpful to work with a branding or a marketing person to get that story really strong, so it's picking up on the emotional sides, I guess, of people having these problems as business owners that you're then able to solve.
Are you, sorry to interrupt you there, I mean, I'm just wondering, going just a step further forward from what you're saying, whether even the name My Digi VA is wrong, because you're right, thinking about it, a virtual assistant is digital because they're not next to you in an office, let's say. So I'm wondering whether we need to consider also, based upon, and this will be interesting to see around what they say tomorrow, whether the name My Digi VA is almost like meaningless, because because what we've spoken about today and what Peter and Tim have highlighted, and you're highlighting now, is there is no comprehension whatsoever of what you're doing, the benefits, you know. And I think that's just for the purposes, I'm just saying this because this is recorded, right, so that you've got this to look back at. Sorry, carry on.
No, yeah, and I feel like I'm hearing myself. I'm sorry if it's coming out across like problem, but it's just, I guess this is the real people, and these are the first questions that come up. So it will be important to you and hopefully very helpful to you to understand that these are natural questions that first come up in the confusion. And at the start of when you were sort of explaining what you were doing and what you were hoping to do, you did sort of talk about you want to help new businesses scale. So I thought your idea was going to go towards business coaching, because how do you help businesses scale? Well, by coaching, I guess. I don't know, that's the association I got, but you didn't mention that. So is there going to be business coaching? Is there not? So yeah, loads of questions that yet need answering. Maybe you have all of them. Maybe these are giving you inspiration to have a little bit more think of all of them. But Georgia also mentioned something quite good, how her an ex virtual assistant that she used to have was doing so many things and was absolutely amazing, from like posts to social media to finding new businesses and absolutely everything and anything that you could think about. And when someone's able to list all that they can do, it's easy to part with your money. But again, the questions that we have in our mind of what it is exactly that you're able to offer small business owners, it makes it, you know, there's a distance between anyone wanting to part with their money potentially. So yeah, people really need to understand what you're offering. And I guess the how doesn't really much matter to the end user, digital, virtual, you know, on paper. They just want to get problems solved.
Absolutely. And yes, I probably couldn't even answer all those questions, and I'm hoping to draw some of this out in this session, where I can get one little seed that will help me get that extra bit of clarity. I think the perfect one, the biggest one was, yeah, I've gone from a virtual assistant to a digital VA, and hearing you say that, then me saying in my own head, I've gone, yeah, what is the real difference? Just by you.
I've got one for you. Maybe you're a clone. Maybe that's it. You've just recloned yourself, and actually you're not here at all. This is your robot version.
So I've got one more quick question, if I could throw it in. So what is your unique selling point? What makes you different from the other VAs out there?
So I've always considered myself as not the taskmaster, but the actual educator in the process. So when someone comes to me with, this is how it's done, my USP is not just doing it, but here's how it's done, and this is how we make things better going forward. And that's the Achilles heel, I suppose. That's when they stop using me once I've given them a bit of the magic at the same time.
Very interesting bit of self-reflection there. You see how these questions can, you've got the answers in you, which is great. All right, well, brilliant.
Can I
Rohan,
add something? Sorry, Larry. There's that concept of ikigai, is it? And I'll be that person bringing weird words. But the whole, you've got to consider what people want, what people are willing to pay for, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, something like that. That concept of ikigai, I feel really, really, really helps at crucial points in life here.
what's ikigai?
Ikigai. So IKIGAI. It's a Japanese concept, and if you Google it, there's a nice like imagery that comes with it. And I think it's something, if I'm not butchering it, it's like the middle, the success lays in what people need, what people are willing to pay for, what you're good at, and what you enjoy doing. I think it's those four. And when you find the crossroads, that's where success is.
The sweet point, isn't it?
Yeah. So that could be something to also help the inspiration come to a fruitful endpoint there.
Brilliant. Okay. No, that's really helpful, Rohan. I hope you found that to be beneficial.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for all your thoughts. And I've been scribing, and yes, lots of takeaways, answers to questions to re-answer. But yeah, some very interesting direction and interesting points about